This next segment will probably be called horror stories for real estate. You know, everybody, for what I think, thinks of real estate as being like an easy job, that nothing usually goes bad, but I've had some horror stories. On my first deal, my first ever deal that I ever had, it was hell. Honestly, it was my first real take of what it is to be a real estate agent. I was doing floor time. Floor time is basically you're sitting in an office, you know, hoping that somebody would call or somebody would walk into the office looking to buy a house. To my surprise, we got a phone call. We got a phone call from this person saying that, hey, they were interested in a property and they were wanting to speak to a real estate agent. So the receptionist passed me over the phone and I started talking to this lady. And you should have seen me. I was excited, bro. I fixed up my suit, put up my tie. And yeah, I was on the phone. I never saw this lady. So all I did was, I got excited for no reason. But so I picked up the phone. She's telling me about this property. I'm looking it up on the computer. I see that it's like $105,000 for this home. At that time, back in 2017, I'm like, hell yeah, man, I'm excited. Yeah, I'm $105,000. Let's get this sold. We set up the appointment to go see this house. I meet the person. And I'm like, hey, Oscar, we talked on the phone. Thank you for using me. Let's take a look at this house and let me see if you like it. We walked through the house. The homeowner was there. Even the real estate agent for the seller side was there too. The homeowner is explaining her house, how she loved her house, but she needs to sell it because, she wants to move up north. And my buyer's like, yeah, this is great. The house is beautiful. This is great. Yeah, so we leave and we talk. And she's like, let me think about it, Oscar. And we'll go ahead and we'll probably submit an offer. And I'm like, cool, that's exciting, let's do it. A few hours pass by and she's like, Oscar, I want to submit an offer. Can we go ahead and do it? And I'm like, yes. My heart pumping. I'm excited. Once again, $105,000 home. I'm super excited. She goes ahead and tells me, Oscar, I don't use an email. So can you just give me the physical copies of the contract and can you meet me at this restaurant? What do I know? Sure, let's meet at this restaurant. I asked, a friend of mine to help me with the contract because I had no idea how to fill it out properly. So I'm trying to figure it out. Those of you who remember writing up your first contract, if you didn't have the right mentorship or the right person to teach you how to fill out contracts, it could be pretty hectic. So I was calling everybody. I was calling a friend of mine that worked at a title office, other real estate agents that have been in the business for a little bit longer, just to help me fill out the basic stuff for this contract before I meet up with this lady, and I didn't sound like I was inexperienced. 2017, so I was 27 years old. I just moved back to Florida. Honestly, to be very open, I was broke. I was broke, and I was working another job just to pay for the bills that I had, and it is what it is. Most real estate agents, when they start off, not a strong flow of cash. And we get to this restaurant, and this was a very, very exclusive restaurant that she took me to. She was like, Oscar, before we get started talking to business, would you like to have a drink? And I'm like, no, I'm okay. I just wanted some water. Like, no, Oscar, we're gonna have a drink. Let me get you a drink. What would you like? And I'm like, let me get a Crown and Coke, I guess. Done. She does a little finger. Waiter comes in. She makes the order for us. Brings me the drink. So I'm taking my time. I'm sipping, and we're talking about the contract. And then she's like, Oscar, your cup looks a little low. Let's order you something else. And I'm like, no, I'm okay with the water. Like, Oscar, please, I want to treat you good. Let me get you another drink. And I'm like, okay, I guess I'll have the same thing over again. I'm not a heavy drinker, so 2 Crown and Cokes, I was already getting a little bit buzzed, but whatever. We go ahead and we're going over the contract, every line, and she's about to sign in. And she's like, something, Oscar? I am hungry. Let's have something to eat. And I'm like, no, it's okay. I'll probably end up, getting something on the way home, or I'll probably eat something at my house. So she's like, no, Oscar, I want to treat you good. Let me go ahead and buy you something. And I'm like, I'm okay, for real. It's right. She's like, no, Oscar, I insist. We're going to go, or else we're not signing the contract. And I'm like, all right, let's order something. I didn't know what to order, and she was like, Oscar, I'll take care of it. This lady orders me a 3-course meal with, it had, honestly, I don't even remember what it is anymore, what I had, but I know it was good. It was very, very good. But we're going over the contract, and then we get to the part where we need to discuss, what we would like to offer for this house. Now, keep in mind, this property was, if I recall, was only on the market for like less than 2 weeks, just freshly onto the market, and she threw a curveball at me. She went ahead and wanted to offer her, I'll never forget it. It was like $70,000 she wanted to offer in this house. Keep in mind, once again, this house was listed for about $105,000. She wanted to offer 60, 65, 70. I think it was more 65. And I told her, like, look, I don't think that's gonna work. Even me being as a brand new agent, she doesn't know that, but I knew. But like that, me as a brand new agent, I knew that was not gonna fly. Like nobody's gonna lose that much money on a house. No way at all. And she was like, Oscar, I promise you, me and this lady, we had a connection. Me and that seller, we vibed, and I know she will accept my offer. And I'm like, and I try to be as nice as possible. I was like, look, I understand, you may have a good connection with the seller, but realistically, this is a lot of money that she's basically going to lose just because of a connection. I don't see that happening. But once again, she insisted that it'll work. Me being as a brand new agent, and I just wanted to put my first offer in and get a deal, I was like, sure, why not? What do we have to lose? But next day I submitted the offer. Honestly, within an hour, I get a call from the agent. And this agent's like, Oscar, I appreciate your offer. We had a great time, with your buyer looking at the property, but it's no way impossible that we would ever accept that offer. But can I get a counter at least? And they didn't want a counter. Like, honestly, like, if she's already thinking about $65,000, a counter would just be pointless, because she's not going to want to come up probably from where her mindset is at. I'll follow up with her and see if she'll give a more reasonable offer. Called my seller. She didn't pick up. I left her a voicemail, according to the conversation that I had with the other agent. And I told her, please, to give me a call back. So maybe we can discuss other options, maybe a different price point that we can, that we can come to an agreement with the seller, that we can go ahead and lock this deal in. Very professional. Trust me, 100% professional. Hours passed by. They haven't heard from her. At that time, I used to do Spartan races, and I was with a buddy of mine, and we were driving to Miami for a race. I lost signal for a little bit, but then I got a voicemail from her. I get on my phone, I put on the voicemail, I put it loud so I can hear it, and wow, the stuff that came out of this customer's mouth. She was like, F you, Oscar. I trusted you. I thought you were gonna get me this deal. I wine and dined you. I bought you drinks. I paid for their meal. I paid for your drinks. I paid for everything. Like, F you this, F you that. Like, it was like a good 3-4 minute conversation of her just telling me to go F off. And wow. Like, this was my first deal, and I'm already getting cussed out by a buyer. Like, I didn't do anything. Like, I literally warned you. I told you what could have possibly happened, but you decided to still, lowball an offer. Now, sometimes, and it makes me laugh, because I'm like, man, what would I have done differently now that I'm experienced? And new agent me makes me laugh sometimes. I went ahead and I called her back. I got your voicemail. I know you're very upset. And she's like, F you, Oscar. I don't want to hear anything from you. You took advantage of me and showed me this house. You made me fall in love with this house, and then you couldn't get the house for me. And honestly, yeah, I think honestly she was getting to the point where she was trying to make me feel bad. But if I warned you, I told you what could happen, and if it happens, it's one of those things, you can't be mad at me. She basically ended the conversation with, F you, Oscar, and I will never use you again. I'm like, okay, that's fine. And we ended there. A month later, she gives me a call back. She's like, Oscar, I had some time to really think about, the last conversation that I had with you. And I want to just mention to you that I feel like I was very rude to you. And I don't think you deserve to hear a lot of the stuff that I said to you. I understand that you did tell me, basically she was just basically repeating everything that I said before about warning her. And long story short, we ended up looking for other homes, and we ended up getting a contract, and it was like $150,000 for a house in 2017. That was probably worth a lot more now. It wasn't as bad as the first time we dealt with the house, but it wasn't. It was. She was that customer, that one customer that I will never forget. That's my story of the first time I've ever sold a property, my first customer ever, my first horror story. Let me know what your horror stories are, and let me know how you would have handled that situation differently.